I'll go over that real quick. This is a green screen effect. They're just moving. Okay, so this right here, I'll explain that in a little bit. I'll explain the megaguirus thing first. They have him in front of a green screen, he's flapping his wings up and down, and then they have this picture that they took, and then they go to the left. This is like an old trick that they used to do in actually pencil animation, I think, too. But not exactly like this. They usually showed it when they were like zooming in on a building or something, or through something. But, so he's on top with the green or blue, whatever it was, removed. And then they had this thing in the background. So that's basically what it is. It's not, he's not actually there. Right here is them slowing it down. The reason why it looked choppy like that is because the cameras back then, they went a lot slower. Certain cameras, certain what are they called? Recorders, whatever. Certain things look different back then. Especially when you slow that down. When you slow down the 90s Godzilla films, they look something like this. But I have no idea why they would add this to the film unless they made a mistake or they just liked how it looked. But personally, it doesn't really look that good to me. I think the other stuff makes up for it a lot, but it just doesn't really, you know, fit in. I'm skipping a lot of this stuff because I don't have a, I don't want it to get, you know. And also I don't want it to be like a 30-minute video or something. I just want it to be a normal video. So right here how they did that, it looked like kind of like the Matrix effect. With the, you know, how it's like the motion blur right here. I'm guessing it's green screened. But it doesn't look green screened. It looks like he's actually there, but it could be a really good green screen effect. So what they could have done is they green screened it and then they took this, the wing right here, they about like right here where my mouse is, to over here. And then what they did was that they made this faster. They created 4 layers, it looks like. 4 layers. One was the normal speed of the wings, one was a little faster, and one was a little faster than that, and then they have this wing on top, which is the fastest. So what it looks like, and then these 3 layers are halfway see-through, which is the opacity of the layer, and then thus making it look like motion blur. Or other than that, it could be motion blur, but this wing doesn't have the motion blur effect on it. It's still very sharp looking with the lines on it and stuff. So that's my guess on what it is. I don't really know what they used, but I think the one idea I said might be what it actually is. And then they keep adding more and more effects, plus them having like a blurry effect underneath his wings. Like right here, you see the blurriness? That's animation. I don't know exactly how they do that, but it's pretty good. It conveys what they're trying to show, the wind and stuff. Like I wish they would have done that in like the older ones with like King Ghidorah and you know Rodan and stuff. That this would have been pretty cool to have this underneath them. They actually have that in Godzilla 2004, the Final Wars with Rodan. He's going through the buildings and this happens. So yeah, this is just the animation. I don't really think they do that nowadays. It's kind of more like a cheesier effect. Because it's not really something you would see in real life. So of course he's animated in there. They just exploded this building. I don't know why that circle was going back and forth. I have no idea why that circle was going back and forth. It's really weird. He looks like he's green screened in here. Maybe he is. I don't know why they would go through all this effort just to green screen him when they could just have a painting like the older ones. That's kind of confusing to me. Ah, that's why. That's why he's green screened. Megaguirus here is not actually here, but the green screen effect for him is a lot better than it is for Godzilla. Right here you don't see the edges, you see the blur, which is really good to have on green screen effects like these to make it not look like he's animated like this. You see the sharp one, you see it sharp on him. You see how it's like green. I was wondering why he looked more green than usual. It's because he's in front of a green screen, it looks like to me. But since they cut that scene so quickly, you can't really tell unless you were observing it. Right here, he's edited in. He doesn't really look like his normal color. He looks a little bit too red. And they do the same thing with the wings. They add some blurring, which this looks like actual motion blur. This doesn't look like the effect they were doing earlier. That was a pretty cool effect. I have no idea how they did that. He's green screened right there. It's very obvious. And they added some animation, which is the effect where he zooms past and then you see the remains of him behind him, which kind of covers up the green screen effect. But not completely, since he's see, like right here, you could see the yellows, you could see the purples, you could see the reds. And the other one, he looked like he was like the coloring of that one green screen effect was a little bit too red, and it looked like it was kind of undersaturated, and then they try to saturate it again, but they only saturated it to one color, and that was red. And sometimes it's green or blue or something. It doesn't really fit in when it doesn't look like how he normally looks. Just like they did with Godzilla right before this, with the green behind him, and he looked out of place. Okay, so right here, this looks... Actually, don't know what they did here. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. As you can see, they're too green. I know that they are animated into this. You can see the white outline right here. That could be just reflection of the building, but it kind of also shows where they are to animate in. And they're obviously green. I think you can actually see a string here. For megaguirus, the strings are actually very obvious. The strings, you can see it in like at nighttime too, which is actually very surprising since nighttime is a lot easier to cover up than daytime. And actually their daytime scenes are actually less obvious strings than the nighttime ones. Like the nighttime ones were more obvious than any of the 90s Godzilla films, which is actually very surprising. I didn't really think that it would be like that when rewatching this movie today. But while rewatching it and planning this video, I saw that and I was like, wow, that's really obvious. It's not like it's not halfway blended in. Like this is kind of halfway blended in, but it's just at night. Like right here, you don't see any of the strings, but at nighttime you saw all the strings, which is strange, since during the daytime the strings would probably be more obvious. So right here they just use the animation. I don't have to explain all that because I don't really know how they did it anyways. Some kind of CGI or something. Some kind of special effect. Right here it looks like they're green screened. Yeah, it looks like they're green screened back there. Right here they're green screened too. Right here he's green screened. He looks a little blue. Showing that it looks like they used the blue screen right here to match in with the blue sky. Which I'd say that it does match in with the blue sky, but it doesn't match when he's in front of the buildings right here. Which I'll rewind to show you that again. Right here they're a little bit unsaturated and a little bit blurry. And the colors are just off a little bit. It doesn't look like they're really there. Meaning that they're not. They're edited in. which, because it's probably not possible to get them, well, I mean it is possible, but it's edited in, from what I could see. Like right here, see the blue? It's blue screen. Or they just, for some reason, changed the color on purpose, or by accident. But it's definitely very obvious. His movements are pretty good, but they just doesn't really fit in all the way. Okay, so right here we have another scene. I remember what this scene actually is. This is an example of the morphing thing. I don't know exactly how they do it. I'm guessing that they have certain points on a picture. They take certain points, like say there's one right here, and like one right here, one right here, one right here, one right here. They're able to move all those evenly to make it look like his face is actually changing, which is actually a really cool tool. And you'll see it right here. When Godzilla looks up, right here, right there. Personally, I don't really like it. It kind of looks a little weird. And it's obviously animated, but it's animated pretty well. So I'll give them that. Okay, so we're at the end of the thing. I didn't want to explain all the stuff because most of it is practical effects. Right here they're showing that it's slow. They're showing like kind of like a slow-mo. Like this is supposed to be all in slow motion. Like right here, this isn't supposed to be actual time. This is supposed to be in slow motion even though the camera is moving like it isn't. But it's supposed to be all in slow motion. Especially when he rips it off, you can see that again. Like right here. Like that, see? It was supposed to be slow motion. When in reality, if he bit his tail like that, and then ripped it off like that, he wouldn't be able to come back like this. So that's a mess up on their part a little bit. What would really happen is that he would bite it off, and then megaguirus would go flying over Godzilla, and then probably land on the ground because, you know, he just got hit. His thing just got ripped off. You wouldn't be able, it's like when you, that would be like running into like a bench, or like a stool or something, like some sort of something at the level of your leg, like something as tall as your legs, and then you're able to, like running, like not actually just walking, like running into it, and then you're just able to instantly come back from that. In reality, what would happen is that you would hit it and then you would go topple over it, which is what I think would happen here too. But that's about it. I'll just look at this real quick. Fire effects are really good. Personally, it doesn't really look as powerful to me, the fire effects. It's kind of a little bit too slow when it comes out of his mouth. It's not like looks more like a power wash, I think, than a actual literal beam of radiation, which is what I would think radiation would look like an actual beam. The explosions right here looks really good. It's all real. It's not animated, the fire, I think. So that's about it for this movie. Oh, man. 30 minutes spent on this movie. I'm gonna have to do a lot of cutting for this to fit into one video. So we went over two things that I wanted to go over. We have 3 other movies. One is really quick. I'll just get that over real quick. So we have Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, and a little bit of Godzilla vs. Biontech. So let's get to it. So I know I said I was going to do those other movies, and I am going to do them. But one person recommended that I do the Godzilla Final Wars Ghidorah transformation scene or something. So let's go to that real quick. Yeah, that was pretty quick. I got it in like 5 seconds. Okay, so it's right here. Wait, let me go back a little bit. I think that's the one downside of this movie is they keep showing the people. They're overacting a little bit. So right here it looks like animation around this actual suit. Yeah, this is animation. This is the real suit right here. So this is CGI or whatever animation they used at the time. See, look, this is real. This is animation. You can see it's a little bit different color. You can kind of see the outline around him, but animation at the time got so good that it's barely noticeable. Especially when it follows him when he shakes up and down. But now you can see this is real. You can see the lighting, you can see the detail and the plasticky look to it. That's real. That's not animation. This is also real. This isn't animation. They probably used the animatronic to actually get it to separate like this. I don't know if there's a person inside. It might be just an animatronic they used for this one scene. Yeah, it looks like an animatronic. See how the head moves robotically? So this is still animatronic. Wait, that was a good scene right there. When his head turns red, that was... Okay, that's pretty cool. I think I know what they did. It's hard to say exactly. It looks like they have some lights inside of his head. And so they just slightly turn them on, making it look like he's transforming his different color. He's turning into yellow and darker, and then he has the yellow lines and stuff, and it's not like it's out of nowhere. It's actually like it looks like it's not like a light switch, like they turn it on, off, on, off. It looks like it gradually turned on. Right here is animation. This is not real. This is not real either. This is animation. All animation right here. All this is animation. This isn't real. But it's very good animation. It doesn't look like this. It doesn't really look anything like the actual suit. The suit actually looks kind of worse. I think this is the best picture of that Kaiser Ghidorah, or whatever he's called. Look, I'll show you what he looks like in real. Right here, this is what he looks like. He looks kind of like, it kind of looks a little weird. His face, it doesn't look like the animation. The animation made him look golden. He had these things come out of his head, the horns, and it looked really, really good. If they had like a whole fight with that, of course it wouldn't look as good throughout the whole thing, and it wouldn't, it would have to be like 10 years in the future, like 2014 or something, to be able to do that kind of animation. So that was it for Godzilla Final Wars. That was pretty simple to explain. It's mostly animation. Of course, I can't explain how they did the animation with CGI and stuff, because I've never done CGI and I've never seen it done, but I know how they do the separate, what's real and what's not most of the time. But, so that's it for this movie. We have Godzilla vs. Destroyer, Godzilla vs. Bylante, and Godzilla against Mechagodzilla 2002 left.